What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. So welcome back to another episode of Debunking Gun Myths. This one I've been looking forward to doing for a while. And, I always told myself, I said, hey, don't do too many Debunking Gun Myths videos about AKs until you at least have an AK, which I thought that, that was fair. But, since I do, let's get into it. So, on this episode of Debunking Gun Myths, just so we all can see, it is clear. On this episode of Debunking Gun Myths, AKMs or AK-47s can just explode. Well, kind of, but not kind of at the same time. It's kind of it's actually a really interesting story, right? And that's what I'm going to get into. Is I'm going to talk about where this myth came from, and I'm going to debunk it. Starting off. This actually was a covert operation that was done. This was something that was purposefully done during the Vietnam War. It was called Project Eldest Son. It was also known, and before you guys laugh at me, yes, I don't have all of this information ingrained into my brain here, so I am reading it. It was also known as Italian Green or Pole Bean. So essentially, the project focused on placing exploding cartridges into the hands of the communists in Southeast Asia. The entire point that led to first off, how cool of an idea that was, right? Because all it took was one round, right? The enemy that is firing at you now has their weapon that is exploded on them, their shrapnel that has hit them, their weapon is completely just disabled. There's no using that gun again. That's a pretty cool idea when you think about it. That's pretty damn cool when you're sitting there talking about it like, wow, how can we really screw with these guys? Now, think about it like this, too, that also the entire point of it more so was to sit there and make them, it was kind of a psychological warfare game, was the whole point of it. And it was to make them question whether or not the supplies they were getting, the suppliers they were getting it from, were purposefully botching them, which round was going to be the next one that blows a gun up, and it was a really, really cool idea and concept. And if I'm not mistaken here, let me pull up the exact number here. It was... Hold on. How many rounds was it right here? All right. It was 11,000. Yep, 11,565 rounds of 7.62 by 39 were sabotaged. And sometimes some of these have, made it out into other places other than Southeast Asia, But it's an interesting thing to talk about here. And it's kind of funny because this point is only brought up by AR guys who are extremely butthurt when people start talking about how cool the AK is. They'll be like, "Oh, well, the AK can just explode on you," and they'll pull up videos of somebody who's sitting there out in the desert with a cracked out AK from the 1970s that just happens to blow on them, and it's like, well, yeah, you know what I mean? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think where they are, they probably can get some, good ammo? There's a good chance that some of the ammo from Project Eldest Son is still in circulation in certain areas, and that can happen. It is very much so a possibility. Now, of course, there's the possibility of, home loads too being too hot, but that's not really what we're here to talk about. Project Eldest Son as a whole is the entire reason why this myth came to be. And before, you guys look it up yourself, because I encourage you to, no, AKs do not just explode when you're firing them. That's not how they work in any way, shape, or form. If it was how they work, don't you think that the Russians probably wouldn't be using the AK platform to this day? All right, so I just wanted to point that out and get that out of the way. Now, how smart of an idea that is a whole nother level. What it led to in the gun community is something I don't think anybody saw, which is people truthfully fearing that if they fire an AK-47 or any AK variant, we'll just say AKMs now, if anybody's firing an AKM, that they're worried about it possibly exploding. That's not something that happens I can't say it's not something that happens in reality, because it has happened. Project Eldest Son is a very real thing. However, the chances of it happening to you are slim to none unless you're getting like some, you're getting some super old 7.62 by 39 from Vietnam or something. You're getting some really old, really, shitty ammo, then yeah, you're worrying about possibly having a round or two that came from Project Eldest Son, and yeah, that's something to worry about. But in all reality, doesn't that more so just show that you cheaped out a little too much, and you should have just gotten some like normal priced ammo that wouldn't have blown up your gun? I don't know. That's just my concept of it. So is it a possibility that the AK can just blow up on you? No, not really. There has to be another factor to it, which in this case there very much so was, which the entire point was to make people question whether or not AKs are reliable, whether their ammo suppliers are reliable. When will the next gun blow up off the next round? And the entire point of this operation was to do this to the Vietnamese and all the communists in Southeast Asia, but somehow it's just led a bunch of AR guys into thinking that that's 100% the truth, and that always happens when that could not be further from the truth. Uh, AKs do not just blow up. That is not how they operate in any way, shape, or form. I don't know how else to express that other than to say that I've seen more ARs blow up than AKs when it's come to something like ammo related issues or something like that. I've seen more ARs blow up than AKs. I hate to be the person to say. Granted, I'm sure there are more videos that I haven't seen or more situations that weren't documented, whether they weren't mentioned or whether they weren't videotaped, whatever. But overall, I've actually seen more ARs blow up from too strong of ammo, or too strong but too spicy ammo, whatever. And it's just, I don't know, man. When people came up with this myth, I genuinely feel like it was just AR guys that were trying to reach because they just were pissed about the whole AR versus AK argument. Now, with that being said, I think that about wraps it up for this video. Overall, do AKs blow up when you're just firing them? No. As I said before, there has to be another force that causes that to happen there. And what caused the myth was another force that caused these AKs to blow up, which was rounds from Project Eldest Son. That was the entire point of what the project was to blow up the communist AKs. Now, with that being said, I think that about wraps up for this video. Y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all, and I don't even care if you agree with me on that. Well, geez, I can English. I don't even care if you agree with me or not. But if you have half a brain, you're going to go ahead and sit there and try looking up Project Eldest Son because it's actually really interesting. But with that being said, y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.